This CCTV footage was never meant to be seen. In fact, according to the server logs this was recovered from, it was deleted 3 times before a technician at the facility realized the file was duplicating itself. Pay close attention to the red light on the smoke detector in the upper right corner. By the end of this video, you'll realize why that light is the only thing in this room that actually makes sense. But before we get to that, we have to look at what happened in Sector 4. Most skeptics will tell you that what you're about to see is a digital artifact or a lens flare. I want you to look at the security guard shadow and tell me if a lens flare can cast a reflection on polished marble. This was captured at a logistics hub in 2024. Total silence, total darkness. Then, look at the 200-pound crate on the left. It doesn't just fall, it slid 6 inches to the left. Now, watch the timestamp at the bottom. The seconds don't skip, but the shadows start moving in the opposite direction of the light source. If this was a simple edit, the timestamp would jitter. It doesn't. This is where it gets uncomfortable. If you look at the guard in the booth, let's zoom in. He isn't sleeping. He's staring directly at the camera. He hasn't blinked in 4 minutes of raw footage. Why? This is the nested loop. We found a similar occurrence in a completely different leak from a bank in Singapore, which we'll look at in a moment. In both videos, the electronic equipment begins to fail exactly 14 seconds before the subject appears. I'm going to play the next 10 seconds in real time. Do not look away from the guard's eyes. Did you hear that? That's not a glitch. That is the sound of the microphone diaphragm being physically stressed by a high-frequency pitch. Now, you might be thinking, this is just a hardware malfunction. But if it's a malfunction, how do you explain the fact that the same scratching sound matches the Morse code found in the Project 7 files we're opening up next? This is the Project 7 leak. For 3 years, this was buried in a legal battle between a cloud storage provider and an undisclosed private contractor. What you're seeing isn't dust. If you look at the way these particles move, zoom in, they aren't floating, they are orbiting. They are reacting to the heat signatures of the servers. Remember the scratching sound from the loading dock guard? Listen to this audio track from the server room, amplified by 40 decibels. The internal counterargument here is simple. It's a cooling fan bearing failing. But cooling fans don't cause the digital clock on the wall to run backward. Watch the bottom left corner. The time is 3 hours 14 minutes and 15 seconds. And then it hits 3 hours 14 minutes and 14 seconds. For the next 30 seconds, time in this room is literally reversing, while the particles continue their orbit. This is where the nested loop tightens. If time is moving backward, why is the thing in the doorway, which we are about to see, moving forward at normal speed? This is the exact moment where the technician who leaked this footage said he felt a physical pressure in his chest just by watching the monitor. We are about to show you the unedited, 60-second sequence of the subject entering the server room. But I need to warn you, this is the part of the video that usually gets flagged. If you're seeing this, it means the platform's sensors haven't caught the anomaly in the frame yet. I've spent weeks tracking the metadata of these files to prove they haven't been tampered with. If you value this kind of deep dive into footage that was marked for destruction, hit the subscribe button now. It's the only way to ensure this channel stays live when these files inevitably get taken down again. Now, look at the door. Wait. Don't just look at the figure. Look at the server racks behind it. As it passes, the status lights on the servers are turning from green to a deep, pulsing purple. This color doesn't exist in the manufacturer's manual for these units. It shouldn't be possible, and this purple light? It's the exact same frequency as the glow we saw on the smoke detector back in case number 1. The connection is no longer a theory, it's a pattern. And case number 4 is where the pattern becomes a threat. If you thought the server room was an isolated incident, look at this. This is case number 4, the 2025 basement leak. This was captured in a residential building in Seattle. Watch the car in the second bay. The alarm isn't going off, but the headlights are pulsing in sync with that scratching audio we heard earlier. Skeptics will say this is just a low battery or a wiring fault. But look at the puddles on the ground. Water is supposed to ripple outward. In this footage, the ripples are moving inward toward a central point that isn't there. Something is standing there, but the camera sensor is physically incapable of rendering its form. This is the invisibility gap. When the footage was leaked, the original uploader claimed that 3 minutes of data were missing from the hard drive, but the timestamp, just like our first case, never skipped a beat. We are seeing a 3-minute gap in reality, not a gap in the recording. Now, we're approaching the final piece of the puzzle. Remember the red light on the smoke detector from the very first clip? The one I told you was the only thing that made sense. We've finally synced the metadata from the Seattle basement with that hospital footage. And what we found proves these weren't 4 different events. They were one event, happening in 4 places at once. Here it is, the footage that was deleted 3 times. Watch the smoke detector.as. The door begins to vibrate. The red light doesn't just blink, it starts to transmit. We ran this blinking pattern through a signal processor. It wasn't a malfunction. It was a data transfer. The smoke detector was uploading the data from the room while the event was happening. That's why the footage was never meant to be seen, because the camera wasn't just recording a ghost or a glitch. It was being used as a sensor for something else to see into our world. The flash you see here isn't a lens flare, it's an EMP. Every camera within a 3-mile radius of this hospital died at this exact second. This is the only surviving frame of what was on the other side of that door. If you look at the invisibility gap again, you'll see it. But the real question isn't what it is. It's who was on the receiving end of that data transfer. If you want to see the leaked files from the receiving station, you need to watch this video next. The footage we just watched is being scrubbed from the main servers as we speak. If this video disappears, you'll know why. Comment Project 7 below if you saw the figure in the reflection. Stay curious, stay skeptical.